Congress demands answers about that big $200,000 check that ended up in Joe Biden's bank account that came over from his brother, James Biden. You saw this one sent over March 1st, 2018 for a loan repayment, whatever that was, from Sarah and James Biden Sr. over to Joseph R. Biden Jr., $200,000. Well, that's a big one. And now Comer, who's on the Oversight Committee, is demanding answers. He sent one letter over to the White House Counsel, and we're going to go through that. It's not too long, but he says, hey, we learned about this $200,000. Do you have any idea where it came from? And he also sent a letter over to Jamie Raskin saying, Jamie, you said a lot of mean things about us in Congress. You said that we had no evidence. Well, now we've got a big fat check with James Biden and Joe Biden's names on it. Is that good enough for you, Jamie? So we'll see what Oversight said to Raskin as well. But let's start off with Comer giving us a breakdown on what is happening here.
You might need to get the President of the United States to turn over those loan documents. Are you looking at that as a possibility?
Yes, we've already called for the president to release the terms of the so-called loan that he apparently claims he made to his brother. But look, whether or not he made a loan is irrelevant. What matters is Joe Biden benefited to the tune of $200,000 from this. Either he made a loan to his brother like they claim, which I don't believe, but let's say they pull something out of their rear end, John, and say they made a loan to his brother for $200,000. His brother could not have paid that loan back without influence peddling the company AmeriCorps Health out of $200,000. We have Jim Biden's bank records, and I can say with 100% confidence that he had very little money in that checking account for a long time. And the only way he could have paid that back was with that $200,000 payment. So either Joe Biden was paid $200,000 as part of the influence peddling scheme, payback, kickback, dividend, whatever you want to call it, or Joe Biden actually made a loan to his brother, and because his brother influence peddled AmeriCorps Health, he paid him back $200,000. So either Joe Biden made $200,000 or he didn't lose $200,000. Either way, Joe Biden's $200,000 better off today because of his family's influence peddling scheme. And like everything else, John, we know that Joe Biden met the CEO of AmeriCorps Health. We know that Jim Biden made a pitch to AmeriCorps Health that he could help them get all sorts of money from the Middle East through his brother's contacts in the Middle East. This is classic influence peddling 101, and Joe Biden, as is always the case, was front and center in this, but this time we have the hard evidence that he benefited to the tune of $200,000.
Woo! All right, so there we go. And I think that's a good point. James Biden didn't have any real job. Like, what was he doing? Where did he get the $200,000 or the $600,000 from? Nowhere. Same as Hunter. The only asset these guys had was Joe, Sleepy Joe, and the promise that they could do something trading on the family's name. So this is what Comer sent over to the White House. It comes over from the Oversight Committee. James Comer from Kentucky. He says, all right, White House Counsel Edward Siskel. Dear Mr. Siskel, the Committee on Oversight and Accountability, James Comer, has been investigating the Biden family's influence peddling schemes. Now, as part of this investigation, the committee obtained bank records related to Biden's brother and sister-in-law, James and Sarah Biden, and an entity associated with them. Now, according to these bank records, Joe got $200K from James Biden dated on March 1st, the check that we've seen. James Biden issued a check from his personal bank account the same day he received the $200,000 from AmeriCorps, a company going through bankruptcy proceedings to which James Biden made, quote, representations that his last name Biden could, quote, open doors and that he could obtain a large investment from the Middle East based on his political connections. And that was from a bankruptcy filing that we read through here, the full thing in detail previously. Now, the White House has claimed Joe Biden loaned James Biden, $200,000. And this check was just repayment. That's what Ian Sams posted. Ian Sams is that, interesting fella over on the X platform. So he says, oh no, it was just repayment. But records obtained by the committee do show numerous large incoming transactions into the personal bank accounts of James and Sarah Biden from various entities. Some of these transaction records may have obscured the identity of the true payer, but no records in the committee's possession state that Joe Biden made a large loan payment to his brother. So it's all new. We've got James and Sarah's records, and there's nothing in there that says we got $200,000 from Joe. So they say, White House, if Joe Biden did personally loan James, his bro, an amount that was later repaid by $200,000, can you please provide the loan documents, including the loan payment, the loan agreement, and any other supporting loan documentation that you have. As you know, the IRS, the Internal Revenue Code, has specific requirements for delineating and reporting, quote, below market rate loans from gifts. Now, while there are some exceptions, for example, loans of $10,000 or less, the payment in question would not appear to be exempt from such requirements if it is a loan. Indeed, there appears to have been no interest paid on this so-called loan based on the White House's own representations, and so the current lack of documentation leaves reason to doubt that claims that this transaction was in fact repayment for a legal loan. Comer says, therefore, we request documentation clarifying the nature of this payment and whether all applicable documentation and IRS filings were properly made. And now, whether this is a loan or not, James Biden's check to Joe Biden aptly demonstrated that he personally benefited from his family's shady influence peddling of his name and access. And even if the transaction in question was part of a loan agreement, we are troubled that Joe Biden's ability to recoup funds depended on his brothers cashing in on the Biden brand. We've got authority to investigate all this, so give us some answers on it. Sincerely, your friend, James Comer, over on the Oversight Committee. And so that goes over to the White House Counsel. Now, they're obviously not going to respond to that at all. He's private, man, he was 2018, and he's a private citizen, and his brother's a private citizen, and all this is just a coincidence, okay? Raskin and others will still say, there is no evidence out there. But Raskin is also getting a letter from Comer and a bunch of other Congress people. Check this out. They're all mad at him. Watch. Comer is here. Grothman's here. We've got Pete Sessions, Nancy Mace, Lisa McClain, no relation to John, Pat Frillin, Michael Turner, Paul Gosar, Gary Palmer, Virginia Fox, Clay Higgins, Andy Biggs from Arizona, shout out, Jake LaTurner, Byron Donald's in the house. Look at all these people. Marjorie's on the list. Anna Paula Luna, Boebert's on the list. Eric Burleson and others. Man, they are not happy with Raskin. Oh boy, let's see what this letter says. It says, hey, Raskin, honorable. As you're aware, the Oversight Committee is investigating Biden's connections to his family and in international schemes, and to date, the committee has demonstrated that Joe Biden lied to the American people in 2020 about his family getting money from China. We now know that's true. Joe also lied about bank records, clearly showing money originating from foreign sources and going to his fam, and failed to disclose his own knowledge about the family participating in businesses with Romania, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Russia, and China, phone calls, dinners, meetings with business associates, and so on. And most recently, the committee has shown that a payment by James Biden, the president's brother to Joe, totaling $200,000 exists. Thus, Raskin, Jamie, showing definitively that Joe Biden has in fact benefited from his family's influence peddling and his shady business activities. Now, in the first 10 months of the Republican majority, the committee has made great strides in revealing the truth about how Biden put America last and his family first. But, Jamie, in the course of this investigation, you have been a spirited critic of the need to look into Biden and his family. It's, of course, your prerogative to determine how best to serve your constituents, Abe Lowell, and the American people. Oh, that's a zinger right there. Right there. Hey, Jamie, yeah, you can do whatever you want to serve your constituents. And Abe Lowell also, you know who that is? Hunter's lawyer. Jamie working for Hunter's lawyer. Now, however, the Oversight Committee must not be used as a means to propagate false or deceptive information, and for that purpose, we must address public statements you made, Jamie, that are contradictory, contradicts facts, and are unfortunately lies. Jamie lied to us, according to Congress. I believe it. They say, pursuant to a committee subpoena that was issued on May 3rd, the FBI on June 5th produced an unclassified FD 1023 document to the committee that detailed an alleged bribery scheme between Joe and his son Hunty, as reported to a CHS, a confidential source called Mikola. The FBI also provided a briefing to Chairman Comer, who's one of the authors of this letter, to Jamie Raskin, and to others. Now, the American people have, rightfully, since been given the opportunity to review this document for themselves, as we have here. But after the briefing, Jamie, we covered this live, you rushed to the cameras outside the briefing room and said, what I know is that the FBI, the DOJ team under William Barr, Scott Brady in the Western District of Pennsylvania, they terminated the investigation. They said that there were no grounds for further investigative steps. And we covered that here. I don't know if it was live, but it was like back to back. And somebody else came out and said, are you sure, Jamie? Because somebody else said that's not true. Now, this week, the Committee on the Judiciary conducted a transcription transcribed interview of the former U.S. attorney from Pennsylvania. Guy's name is Scott Brady. When asked about your characterization of his team's work, he said, "My understanding of Raskin's public statement is that, based on the determination that I and my team found, the allegations in the 1023 not credible or other information not credible, we did not escalate the assessment to a limited or full investigation." He said, "My understanding of Raskin's public statement is that," this is what Raskin said, "that he said that we didn't make a determination, we did not escalate that." Mr. Brady, is what Raskin said true about you? He said no, it was not true. After directly refuting your characterization, Jamie, he added his team did find that there was sufficient, quote, indicia of credibility in this 1023 to pass it on to an office that had a predicated grand jury investigation. Amazing. So Jamie lied to all of us. Shock, big whoop. Now, the committee requests that you formally correct the record, Jamie, and apologize to the American people for spreading disinformation about the evidence that was collected by this committee. Additionally, we ask Mr. Raskin that you take seriously your position as ranking member on our committee, and you be honest about the facts learned in our investigations, even those that are inconvenient to you in your own political views. And while we appreciate your role up to this point to play defense counsel for Biden, it's now time to follow the evidence and speak the truth. Jamie, liar. Sincerely, your friends over in Congress around the corner, James Comer, Glenn Grothman, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lisa McClain, and others. All right, so that, my friends, is what's happening in Congress. They're starting to get a little agitated with each other, rightfully so. Nobody wants liars in Congress, especially Jamie Raskin liars. And so we'll see if Comer and the Oversight Committee can get any answers out of this from these people. And of course, my friends, we're going to continue to cover it until we do. I hope you join us as we go along on this wild ride. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for checking out robertgovea.com to sign up for our daily newsletter where all this good stuff will be delivered right to your email inbox. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.